This is the Big Fish Cares Podcast. Big Fish Cares Podcast. And here's your host, Benny Fisher.
Welcome back to another edition of the Big Fish Cares Podcast. We got an awesome, a little kind of surprise guest today. I've actually never met him in person. I mean, I guess there's been a couple guests I haven't met in person, but some of them I've known really well. But we have today another contractor, another entrepreneur that's got a really cool story. We're going to find out together what that story is for the first time, because I don't think I've actually heard it yet. So you guys will be getting like the unedited, unfiltered version, which is going to be kind of cool. I have Jacob Campbell with me from the electrical company, who owns an electrical company, fancy that, out of Oakdale, PA. Jacob Campbell, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. Tell us a little bit about what prompted you to join the podcast today, or even reach out.
Honestly, I was watching a bunch of your content, and it's something that our company we were really interested in. And honestly, I just was watching a bunch of podcasts. I saw you interviewed people I had recognized in the industry, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Something me and my business partner Ryan had honestly talked about for forever is about starting a podcast, filming, making content. Something we lack. And honestly, I really just liked your content and was trying to absorb it as much as I could. So I think I reached out, and then we spoke for about an hour about a week or so ago, and I saw your thing. You were like, hey, who would like to be on the podcast? I was like, why not? Let's shoot my shot. See if he'd say yeah, and you did.
There you go. See, all you got to do is say yes. This young guy is taking the first step. And that's for you out there listening at home. If you ever thought about doing something and you still haven't done it, what are you waiting for? Just get up off your butt and go do it, right? And yeah, let's talk a little bit about Jacob. I know you have a partner in the business. Let's talk about you, though. Let's talk about how you ended up becoming an electrical contractor at 28 years old, because you're young. You kind of started what? I mean, how old is the company? The company's like a few years old now, right?
Yeah, the company is 3 years old. The LLC was actually founded in 2017, so it was 5 years ago. Started as, like everybody else's business, just started by a conversation. Came up with an idea, and I think Ryan was an electrician, was kind of an electrician for a long time. I was actually a cook. I'd ran through a couple other jobs, was in the flooring business for a while, and I did roofing for a side job a couple of times. Can't say I was any good at it for sure, but was doing the cleanup and tear down, trying to learn as much as I could. So I absorbed a lot at a young age in the construction industry, and just kind of worked a bunch of jobs. I saw Ryan make some cash on a Saturday, and I was like, how'd you do that? It was kind of really interesting to me. I like cash. And he was like, I learned this trade. It was a good business. And he was like, I don't know much about sales, though. And crazy enough, I was at a door-to-door job, business to business. And I was like, I can get you some sales. I'm like, I'll just go door knocking, And of course, we were both working full-time jobs. We just kind of did a couple side jobs. Wasn't really serious, didn't put my foot on the gas pedal at all with it. Started to learn the trade myself, got a job working with a contractor in the area. Got another job about a year later working for a bigger construction firm, and again, I've tried to absorb as much as I could from them. Definitely learned a ton. Cannot complain about the experiences I got. They definitely taught me a lot. So shout out to all my old employees who dealt with me, or employers, I should say.
Well, listen, they're all watching you now, brother. And I'll tell you this, back on my career, I did car sales, I did mortgage sales, I did roofing with my uncle. Everyone now, now that I've been putting in the work for the last 7 years, been grinding, now they finally get to see some of the content. They see all this different stuff, right? I'm like a whole nother human, right? And they wonder, some of them are wondering right now, like, wow, what happened to that kid and how did he turn out to be like that? or some of them will be like, you know what? I always knew he had it in him, and I'm glad he's doing it, right? Like, and then there's some that are just like, yeah, they're just like, how do I do it? I want to be a part of that, and it looks like you guys are doing it, man. So take your hat off, and you should be proud of yourself for that. It couldn't have always been easy though. So tell us about the come up. Tell us about the struggles that you went through. Tell us about Jacob Campbell, the human.
So I grew up out of Oakdale. Me and Ryan, my business partner, both went to West Allegheny. I played football myself, so I was into athletics, very competitive. Was always working myself, cutting grass, shoveling snow in Pittsburgh. So I guess I kind of had the entrepreneurial spirit in me from a young age. Didn't know how to develop it at all. I got great experience in the restaurant industry, and I was fortunate enough to work with a gentleman. Shout out to Anthony Sandstrom. He recommended a couple of books to me, and I'm so glad he did. It was right about COVID time. I was just reaching out to people. Work was kind of crazy, and he's like, "Hey man, read these books." And I read a bunch of books that he kind of threw at me: Robert Kiyosaki, John Maxwell, a couple Jim Rohn books, and honestly, it really kind of made me change my view on how things were possible, and it opened up a lot of doorways. And mentally, everybody I know thinks starting a business is hard and crazy. We had a truck we bought for about $1,300, old rusty pickup. It literally leaked gas. We joked we had to work every day to keep gas in it. So we fixed the gas tank, welded it up piece by piece, kind of fixed up an old truck. We ended up selling it and our HVAC guy gave us a work van. Used that for about 2 years, and really just kind of saved capital, built a small little business up. Started getting a bunch of reviews. A couple of guys were saying Google reviews is how you get good business. And I highly recommend that to anybody starting a small business. The more reviews you get, you pay nothing for marketing. So you get good people, you do good business. You don't got to pay a fortune for marketing. Word of mouth really, really travels far.
Well, that's awesome, man. Did you, so what was life like growing up? Like, where you, do you have brothers, sisters? What was your family life like?
So I grew up with 2 sisters, 2 brothers, a half sister, a half brother, and then another brother. And
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Sister. Yes. Oh yeah.
Did you have Alice? Did you have the housekeeper to cook food for you and wash your clothes?
Fortunately, we got to live right near my grandparents, who lived right behind us, and family members were real close in the neighborhood. So it was really nice, honestly, growing up close to family like that. We did have grandma keeping an eye on us when mom and dad were out running around.
What was the biggest, we talk a lot about overcoming adversity on this show and what it takes to become an entrepreneur and kind of like that entrepreneur's mindset. At what adversity have you had to overcome maybe through your childhood up until the time that you left your parents' house? Like what was some of the biggest hurdles you had to overcome?
Good question. Honestly, I was fortunate enough to have really good parents in my life. They were always able to help me out. So I had an older brother who got me a great job out of high school. Was very fortunate to have some good family members. I would say the adversity I faced, some of the harder things were when I was younger, before my younger sister was adopted. We had 2 foster kids live with us. So I dealing with that at a young age was definitely different for myself. So it's hard for me to overcome when I was younger. Definitely.
What about that exactly was difficult for you?
Having somebody come into your life who you thought was going to be like your family, and then have them taken away.
That wasn't explained to you up front, you don't think? Or you probably just didn't, even if it was, you probably didn't understand it, right, the whole way?
Yeah, I don't think I had a big enough brain to really comprehend what was going on.
Gotcha. So you fell in love with them, and then they had to go.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to deal with, but luckily I have a little sister named Gabrielle. Fantastic. Got me involved in Special Olympics because she's autistic. So she was in Special Olympics in middle school, high school. And again, fortunately for me, I got to be around a lot of lot of individuals who have autism, and definitely opens up your perspective as a human, makes you really, really grateful for the things you have.
Probably makes you a lot more empathetic too for other people's situations, regardless whether they have special needs or whether they just come, they struggle with anything in life, right? You probably have learned a lot of patience and empathy. I think those are two big traits that it takes to be successful in business and successful in life. And I feel like, you were probably uniquely designed to be able to like kind of handle that situation, be a blessing for those people. And then now as an entrepreneur, you get to hire people in your company. You get to help lead other people. You can kind of be a little bit more patient than some typical people that might be out there. And I feel like that's a superpower for you. What do you think about that?
100%. Working with customers every day in and out of people's homes, especially with no power. I'm sure dealing with no roofs is not a fun situation for a lot of people. So you get the frantic caller a lot. I have no power. I need this. So dealing with situations at a younger age that were, you could definitely say hectic, have definitely helped me out in a good way.
What was life for you getting out of high school? Like, did you go to college? Did you work jobs, or like what was the path kind of from?
I made it to CCAC for I tried taking 2 classes, and I made it maybe a month and a half, and I was like, this isn't for me. I was working about 60 hours at Anthony's Coal Fired Pizza,
There you
and
go.
just tried working my way up at a job. I loved cooking, loved
Which one
working
were
where
you
I
at? Were
worked.
you at the one in Robinson?
Yep. They opened
Okay.
up Robinson, then they did Cranberry, and when they opened up Canonsburg, I was able to be on the training team there. Again, it got me around the right set of people, guys opening up restaurants, the owners, the regional managers. You get around a lot of people with the right mindset, the right influence. Yeah, I tried to, again, at a young age, I was probably 19, 20 years old, talking to guys who just opened their 30th, 40th restaurant. And I'm like, how'd you do it? They're like, well, you ask questions like you're doing. And I was like, wow, that really.
That's it.
And
Just keep
it's
asking
amazing
questions.
when you ask questions that people were willing to just share experiences and really, tell you how to get there.
That's awesome, man. I love your passion. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. I think those are also good ingredients that you need. And you mentioned you were a chef and you worked in the restaurant business. Part of being a chef is understanding what ingredients to take and then how to put them together in the right process to spit out a magical result, right? And at the end of the day, entrepreneurs are a lot like chefs, right? Because you have all these ingredients, you have all these products, you have all these different people. You have to be able to sprinkle them all together and put them in the right order and kind of spit something out that's beautiful. And I feel like you get a chance to be the chef at the electrical company. You ever thought about it like that?
No, I can't say I've quite thought about it. Not in that way. No.
Well, that's why they call
um,
me the visionary, man, because like I can see that stuff, right? Like it's kind of cool to hear people's stories and kind of figure out how you can make parallels, because when you can make those parallels and you can tie those to situations that you've learned from, you can kind of come up with themes, and then you can kind of make it easier for other people to kind of understand like how to do something. So I feel like that's kind of a cool thing. What's your favorite food to make as a chef?
Steak.
Steak.
Love
I'm
my
actually
steak.
having steak right now, man. As soon as we get done with this podcast, my girl, we're making steaks tonight and sweet potatoes, and we're gonna have a good time eating some of that. But let's talk about, you talked a little bit about your journey getting into the business. What's been some of the hardest things to kind of figure out? Because there's a lot of people just starting a business is hard enough, but then once you start it, the challenges aren't over, right? You got to be overcoming problems and situations, which I call our opportunities to kind of learn and get better. But what are some of those things that you've had to learn along the way?
One is definitely patience. Starting off, you get a project and you're real excited. And I remember my first project, getting a flat tire, having my brake caliper go. Um, Really, again, trying to be persistent with a project. There was many hurdles with vehicles, that were fun. And you were saying about sprinkling different ingredients in there. running a business, there's a different challenge with a different ingredient every time, and nobody tells you what ingredients to even start with. So, we kind of started with scratch and, started a little homemade kitchen to realize we could fix some vehicles up. So we bought a couple more vehicles we could fix up and, realized this a skill that could help us save money because I'm sure you're aware vehicles are a huge cost starting a business. Getting to the job was a big thing. Well, once you get the work, you're hunting, finding all this work, you get the work, and then how do you get there?
I had to pinch myself. A couple months ago, my company tasked me with we needed some new trucks because we were hiring some more people and we needed trucks for them. And, used trucks are like almost impossible. New trucks are impossible to find, but I have a relationship with Bowser, the big car dealership here in Pittsburgh. And I called them up and said, hey, I need a bunch of trucks. And he's like, how many do you need? I was like, well, 3 if you have them. I said, I know I'm being kind of greedy, but I said, whatever you have, I'll take. And he had 3 trucks. And I remember walking in and I bought all of them on the same day and I picked them up all at the same time, signed all the paperwork. And I had to pinch myself because that was the first time I ever bought 3 in a day. Now I bought 2 in a day before and I bought a bunch of singles before. Because I don't even know how many trucks we have. We probably have, 20 trucks on the road, 15 to 20 trucks. And I had to pinch myself because they were like $65,000 a piece. It was $200,000 worth of trucks, just trucks. That's not even before you put the gas in it. Then you got humans going in there. And you got families that are going to be, you got customers' homes that are going to be taken care of with these trucks. And I sat there at the dealership and I took a picture of me with these 3 trucks. And I remember thinking wow, I couldn't even imagine this, even 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago, as a kid growing up, that I'd ever be in a position to be able to just go in and buy 3 brand new, awesome service body trucks. And gratefulness for me, gratitude is really important in business because it gets so tough, right? It gets really hard to sometimes get to the next step because a lot of times we just don't know what the next step is. Tomorrow's a brand new day for all of us. I've never been to tomorrow yet. You haven't been to tomorrow. And we kind of have to always persevere. And when we get faced with challenges and problems, we can either get punched in the face and stay down or we can get back up, right? And I think it's key for the most successful entrepreneurs is that they keep getting back up and then they also appreciate and they're grateful for what they have because they have so much more than a lot of other people. And I think a lot of times in business and in contracting, especially because of the hurdles you face with trying to find good employees, trying to keep customers happy with product challenges, it's easy to just kind of get down and get negative. But, what do you do to stay positive all the time and keep your gratitude in check?
So I know last year was the first time I ever went golfing. I've always been a huge hunter and a huge fisher.
Should have brought the video camera. That had to be funny.
Oh, I can tell you a story about the first time I went to Top Golf company outing. A great time, fun event. I tried hitting the ball after I thought I knew what I was doing, and I hit the ball forward. I didn't even know you could do that. And I almost hit the golfer in front of me.
Wow. That's all right, though. Well, at least you're an electrician now, man. You can stick to the hunting. What do you like to hunt?
I'm a big deer hunter.
Oh, yeah? When's that? That season starts what, after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, rifle seasons after Thanksgiving, archery seasons probably coming up quicker than I can even remember. I haven't got out for that recently, but I go to tie a nest up in PA. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's how I try to free my mind. I've been fortunate to get to go up there and enjoy myself for the last couple of years, and really, really separates you and gets you away from all the ins and outs of running a business, the negative side of things of dealing with challenge after challenge where you can get caught up in it. Again, nobody tells you what to do every day, so you focus on business, you work, forget to go home. All of a sudden, you got to go home.
The worst is when you forget to pee. Have you ever worked so much where you forget to eat and drink and pee, and the next thing you know, your body's doing all kinds of weird stuff?
You're looking at the clock, wondering when did I have water? Did I have breakfast? Can I order pizza? Is it too late? Is somewhere closed?
Yeah, man. That's those are all signs that you're doing a good job, man. You're working hard. So tell me what your vision is. What's your plans for the electrical company? You know, you guys are 3 years in, tell me a little bit about what the plans are for the future.
Our plans are to keep doing what we're doing. We're looking to have more vans. We have one in the shop right now, so we'll be up to 4 vans. Looking to get a fifth and sixth one as quick as we can. Keep growing. We just got one of our biggest commercial deals. We've been working with some restoration companies that have helped us grow. Some real big contracts, a couple multi-unit apartments, and we just actually landed for us one of the coolest jobs ever. Our first restaurant, and it is a Permanente Brothers. So we're super excited. I don't even know if I can shout that out on the air, but we're so excited about it. Being from Pittsburgh, it's just really cool for us to experience that and be able to start build a new building with them.
Yeah, is that going to be through? Are you a sub through a general contractor?
Yep, we were
Yeah,
able to get the job through a general contractor who reached out. I believe he just found us on Google through good reviews. Um,
yeah.
Reached out to us. We were able to give a competitive price. He liked us. We were local, and um, it just
That's
kind of worked
awesome.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. That'll be now. How long will a job like that take?
they're estimating 3 months. They're trying to hurry it up. The building's already built. They're pouring concrete
Yeah,
and the
but for
roughing.
you though, how long will you guys be on site?
From
You
start to finish, man hours. I'm hoping around probably 250 to 300, but probably more than that.
all right?
Roughing in should be pretty quick, honestly, but we'll probably have 3 to 4 guys on it for a week, so it'll be a quick 100 to 150 hours there.
That's cool.
Um, Depends
What
how much conduit we got to bend. Honestly, the restaurant square footage isn't crazy, so should be a pretty nice project
and
for
that
us.
new construction's got to be nice because right, like you're not having to tear anything out. You got all clean things to work with. It's the big hardest things with new construction is just dealing with the other subs that are on the job and the other timelines, right? And if you can communicate well and you have a good plan of action, I think you're going to be fine. So that's cool that you're in a little bit of commercial. Do you do residential electrical? Tell us a little bit about what the mix is with your business, so that way people at home, if they're listening, could use your services. Because I got listeners all over the country.
We
Jacob's here in Pittsburgh, so everything if you're looking for a good electrical contractor, maybe give him a try.
we just got big in with a lot of pole and spa people. There's a lot of electrical with hot tubs, in-ground poles, above-ground poles. So we've been doing a lot of that. We have a fantastic HVAC guy, Joshua Burns. He's thrown a lot of work our way.
I
So
feel
we're
like
doing a lot of work
I've
with
seen
him.
him in my DMs and like on my posts and stuff like that. Like you guys all
Yeah,
friends, huh?
yeah. He's probably definitely caught on. I told him I was on here today, and he was like, "I know him. I'm friends with him." So he does great work. We work with him on a lot of projects. Having good subs you like. We have another plumber who's fantastic. We work with. He actually just sold me a truck. So Matt Myers in Oakdale, thank you very much. He's been a great hand too, because again, you're in there with other tradesmen. Getting along, communication really is key, especially on new construction. You don't want to get in anybody else's way. Electricals usually last.
What percentage of your business is residential versus commercial?
We are probably mainly about 80 to 85% residential. We do a
Okay.
lot of panel upgrades, 100 amp, 150 and 200 amp panel upgrades in customers' homes. That's kind of our main gig. That's what we've been doing a lot of, and we work with some great general contractors that flip homes, restoration companies, and whole home rewires, and either investors or just people building new homes. We've actually been looking to build with some of the main builders like Dan Ryan. Now that we have 3 guys working with us, um, employees, they're fantastic. Was definitely a hurdle getting some, but we had our first employee be with us for a whole year just this month, and we honestly we're so focused on work. We all kind of took a moment. We're like, wow. I was like, Austin, you've been working with us for a whole year. It was a cool moment. We all kind of lifted our heads up and weren't focused on electrical and thought about the business, and it was a cool milestone for us.
Yeah, you got to put a little Facebook post and put a little happy birthday post. I just had a birthday recently, and I saw my company put me on LinkedIn with like a picture of me and a happy birthday. I was like, oh, it's my birthday. I almost forgot too, you know. So that's kind of cool, man. I really like this story. I love young entrepreneurs who are out there killing it. I didn't start my business till I was 33 years old. I'm 41 years old, so just keep that in mind, man. You're already way ahead of the game. For just even getting yourself started and being out there for 3 years. What do you like doing better? Like residential? Because residential work, dealing with a homeowner, is such a different business. I know that the wires are plugged in the same way and the electrical works the same way, but dealing with homeowners and then dealing with general contractors and new construction is a totally different business model. Tell me which one you prefer and why.
So we did a lot of commercial service work at a previous construction place I worked, and so did my business partner. Did a lot of commercial work, and I love commercial work. I love new build outs. I like seeing stuff start to finish. There's something special about that versus just kind of adding an outlet or adding a light. So I do love doing new builds, especially in residential too. We've dealt with some high-end new residential homes. We actually got to work on some bigger homes. Ladies on HGTV, we got to do a house or two with her. So
How'd you get that job?
Ooh, I think Google, honestly, again.
Yeah, I tell you what, you're blowing up over there, Jacob. Like, you don't even know how you're getting all the leads, man.
I have it written down. I can look through my.
I'm just messing with you. That's good that you have. That's good that you have all that, man. That's awesome. What? So when you do residential, is it mostly new construction, or is it ever like going in and like fixing little stuff in people's houses?
Yeah, so we do a lot of service calls for an outlet not working, a GFI's bad, replacing ceiling fans.
So you'll do it all. If it has to do with electric and wires and panels and anything with electricity, you're in.
Yep, we do it all. We try to take on as much as we can. But really with electrical, once you get guys trained up and you have really, really good guys on your team, you really can kind of take on all residential. Once you know residential and you do a whole new build out, it's really easy to understand troubleshooting of, where would they run this wire from A to B. So once you do new builds, it gives you the knowledge to do a lot of troubleshooting too.
That's awesome, man. Here, we got a few minutes left. I don't actually usually do this on my show, but I feel like this is a little bit of a different type of episode. Do you have any questions for me about business that we can kind of talk through on the air so that way people that are listening at home can get some value? What questions do you have for me?
Absolutely. What systems did you put in place for your employees and your sales? I'll start with employees first. How did you get your first couple of guys? Honestly, for us, we had somebody call us looking for a job, and it was a good fit. He was a hardworking person, and a year later, here he is still. He's all trained up. We're looking to put him into a van. He's a real go-getter. So, it's really exciting, I'm sure, for you to see people develop.
Yeah. So the first few employees, there's a lot different to how we got those versus how we get them now. The first few, similar to what you're doing is, once I realized I needed some help, I just kept like asking people to help me, and word got out, and it was all relationship based. It was all referral based. I didn't know how to run an ad. I didn't really have time to run ads. I found my first office person, Lisa Blass. She was the husband of a friend of mine, Chris Blass. And me and him used to golf together at the country club. And one day I made a Facebook post actually and said, hey, I need help with like my QuickBooks and accounting and invoicing and paying bills. Who can help? And I even put in parentheses, looking for a stay-at-home mom, because I was afraid that I didn't have 40 hours worth of work. So I was just looking for somebody like 10 to 20 hours a week, kind of nonchalant. I didn't really have a lot of money to pay people. I didn't think. I was nervous. I was scared. And Chris was like, he saw that post and he's like, hey, my wife wants to get back to work. All the kids are getting grown up and she needs something to do. And I was like, wow, that's perfect. Somebody that I can trust, somebody that she doesn't even really need to work. You know, it was like she just wanted to work and she wanted to help me out. And she's actually been with me ever since. I mean, so it's been, for a year, I was kind of by myself. I had hired a person one time and it didn't really work out. I think she was with me for like maybe like 20 or 30 days. And I just realized it wasn't a good fit. So I didn't even count that. But after that first year, after I'd kind of did all the departments, right? I was doing my own marketing. I was doing my own selling. I was managing my own jobs. I was doing my own bills. Put Lisa in, and it worked. It's worked out well. You know, I didn't have the best training program or onboarding program. I had my accountant show her a couple of things in QuickBooks, so that way, you know, because he was doing a lot of stuff for me on a monthly basis. But it was getting to be too much for him because, like, you know, he was just my accountant and he was just trying to like settle me up every month and, like, you know, that way we could file taxes at the end of the year. And he was like, hey, you need to find somebody to kind of like do some of this book work. So he kind of showed her a couple of things. Funny enough, that my first accountant is actually now the guy that runs my whole company, because yeah, I know, crazy story, right? That's a whole nother podcast. I'm going to try to have him on here towards the end of the year. But my other guy, my sales guy, my first sales guy, he's still with me too, Ed Brown. And I got him because I was in a Chamber of Commerce Dancing with the Stars fundraiser, and I met his wife. His wife was the principal of the local Catholic school, and me and her were like, you know, the celebrities of town, I guess, that they were like, you know, putting this fundraiser on. And so I met her, had a relationship with her. He was looking for a new job. He was in building distributor. He was in building supplies and stuff like that. So he's already kind of knew the trades in the industry, and he knew a lot about siding. And I kept getting a lot of requests for siding, but I didn't want to deal with customers on siding because I was busy selling roofs. So I said, hey, Ed, you know, here's what happens. I got about, you know, I'm getting 10 to 15, 20 leads a week, and like 3 or 4 of them are siding leads, and I don't have time to run them. I said, I barely have time to do the roofing. So why don't you just take siding? I bought him an iPad. I said, here you go. I threw it to him. I said, just go sell whatever you can. I have an installer that wants to install, but you got to kind of manage the installer. And we kind of like, that's how we onboarded. And he's been with me ever since through all kinds of different changes and trying different things. And he's really withstood the test of time. We call him Downtown Eddie Brown. He's been an awesome asset. And I also hired a project manager right around that same time, like right before I think I hired Lisa and Ed. I hired a guy named Jason, and Jason was an awesome employee too as well. And he was just a hard worker, right? He would do anything it takes to be successful. He really learned everything, and he was with me for a couple of years, and he went off and started his own business, which I was kind of really, you know, I was sad to lose him, but then I was also excited to see that he was chasing his dreams. And, but yeah, that was the first 3, pretty much. And then and then ever since then, just, you know, you add a couple, but I got to a point where doing it that way, having, you know, people that you know and not really having a system and roles and responsibilities, it got clanky after like 4 or 5 people. So I kind of really had to like stop and like reevaluate how I was doing things, and, you know, got a little bit clearer on systems and processes. And that's when I found EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which I'm a big fan of. If you've never read the book Traction or Rocket Fuel, highly recommend it for anybody looking to start a business. If you guys have questions about EOS, I actually just shot a podcast that's going to be coming out again, which is this part 2 of the EOS series with my coach, Ken. First one was on how to develop a vision for your business, and we just shot one called Right People, Right Seats, the people component. And it talks a lot about, you know, finding the right people for your business that align with your core values. But to know what your core values are, you really have to go through a discovery process, right? To find out like what those values are. So that way it's kind of like your company's like 10 commandments almost. It's like their values. It's like what you guys stand for. So when you hire people, you want to hire people that align with those values. So then that way you can always hold them accountable to the values, because, you know, times are going to get tough. Numbers aren't always going to be perfect. People are always going to struggle, but if they have the right values and you can actually coach them and mentor and train them, you know, they're usually the right people. Then you just got to find the right seat for them and find the right role. So it's kind of what I did early on. It's definitely not the way we do it now. Now we have a system. We have multiple interviews. We do assessments on people to see if they're a good fit. So that way, you know, we're not spending days and days and days like trying to call people and beg them for interviews and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more dialed in. And we take a lot longer to actually vet somebody before we let them come into our company, because our company is like our family. So was that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. What else you got for me, man? We got a couple minutes left.
Your sales process, you said you were mentioning your EOS.
Yeah. So sales process even came before EOS. So I was stuck in doing most of the selling. Like a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're out there driving the business, we're meeting people, we're selling the jobs. And it was getting too stressful because I was still trying to run other parts of the company, and I was trying to figure out why we weren't profitable. And it was time consuming. It took a lot of work, took a lot of energy out of me. And I wasn't having any fun. And I ran into a guy at the roofing convention named Ryan Groth, Sales Transformation Group. Huge shout out to him. I actually do a lot of work with that company now because I've had so much success with that program. But he taught me through a course and through coaching how to implement a sales process, how to stick to a process, how to develop my own, how to be able to then train others, how to be able to then train a manager and an admin to try to like run the sales department, a recruiting process on how to do it, how to keep optimizing, how to keep making guys better, and then how to kind of hand that off. And today, we have a sales team that kind of runs on its own. They still, they get coached, and they get, Mallory's in charge of our sales department. She kind of learned from me a little bit. And we have Mark Caney, who's our top sales leader, who really drives the sales department with everyone else on the team. But yeah, it was a lot of studying. It was a lot of like work. It was a lot of in the weeds, like micro little details about sales process that I really learned. And then you came up with, when you have a great product and you have a great experience on the back end, it's easy to sell because you have something that actually you can sell to somebody. And we don't really like call it sales too much. It's like helping people like make a good purchase and making sure people make a smart purchase. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of bad contractors out there. There's a lot of misinformation. And if you don't ask customers the right questions, you're never going to uncover those compelling reasons that they need to actually buy, and why they're going to buy from you, and why they're going to pay you a little bit more to do business with you than go down the street and deal with the cheap contractor. So that sales process was really good. I can definitely, if you send me an email after this, I'll definitely get you hooked up with those guys, because that's a great sales system and sales training methodology. I highly recommend it because they have coaches that can help not only you, but then your sales team kind of develop. So then that way you can get back to running your business and having some fun,
Yeah. Yeah. Our sales, I've reached out to a lot of other contractors to try to learn our sales and how we operate and what we do. And it is a competitive industry out there. We follow the Contractor Fighter on YouTube, and he'll educate the heck out of you. We've learned a lot, again, just from trying to learn. The more we educate ourselves, the more we really do find more systems that work a lot better. And there's reasons, bigger companies do bigger things and different things. And once you learn kind of their systems, it really does operate, from an HVAC company, roofing or plumbing. I think a lot of the trades are pretty similar when it comes to that.
Yeah. And so remember I told you there's a guy running my company now, and he pretty much takes care of all the day-to-day, and he kind of implements my vision for the company. He actually came from like a $60 million mechanical contractor. So, combining the skills, right, and finding people in other industries and that have other skill sets is really key to growing a successful business, especially if you want to scale it. Because it can't all just be based on like what you know and what you're good at, right? You have to find other people to kind of complement your skills, because there's everyone in my company that's in the role that they're in, they do a better job than I do if I was in that same role. And that's a testament to just training and being specialized. I would call myself like, I know how to do every single department, but I'm not the best in every single department, if that makes sense. But I do know from start to finish how to work in every single department, where that's kind of the skill set that like I've developed as an entrepreneur. So, but yeah, I'd love to help you that. I also have this idea and passion, and maybe you can help me get started, and maybe this podcast will be the kind of the breaking ground for that. But I've always wanted to put together what I call like a young entrepreneurs organization of, especially in the home services and the contracting business, put together like a group of like maybe like 6 or 12 of us, where we can do like a monthly like learning thing. We can kind of help mentor each other. We can kind of help coach each other, and maybe stick together in like a peer group like that. Is that something that you think that we could get started?
Oh, for sure.
You got enough other contractors in your little network that we could put something together?
I do. The age separation group's real, so I definitely work with guys that are close in my age group, and I definitely think I could get a couple of guys together.
Yeah, why don't you brainstorm on that? If we can get, if we can get at least 6, I feel like it would be worth my time to kind of invest and pour into you guys. Just, go over best practices, right? Every month we could go over something new, maybe get together, have some fun, refer each other some business too, right? That'll always help. And there's a lot that we can do. Especially, I love the fact that you're in that commercial space. I came from a background in commercial roofing, so I kind of know that space a lot. I really love dealing with homeowners and making that residential feel better, because I just like it, because I like people are excited about it. Most people aren't going to be excited. Customers are excited that at Permanis that the lights are working, but like no one's like, it's not the same as like grandma when she gets all of her new electrical put in, right? Like there's just something about the appreciation the customer has. Now I understand from the work side, you look at like, oh man, big project that's cool for you. And that's awesome. I was super passionate about really making sure that customers in the Pittsburgh area had a concierge level service that we could treat people the right way. So that's kind of why I kind of stick to residential, but I'll probably dip into commercial sooner or later. Plus the other thing we're going to be doing is a lot of real estate things. So I'm thinking maybe you might be able to help us with some remodels and some houses, and maybe get some of your buddies together that do other trades, and maybe we can flip some houses together. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's actually an adventure I took 2 years ago. I bought my first house out in Midland, PA. Bought it for cheaper than I bought my first new car. And it's about finished up here, so I don't know if I should rent or sell. I'm still talking with my realtor on that. Speaking of my home, I got a shout out to my beautiful girlfriend Jasmine. Just had a baby back in January.
Woo woo! Congrats.
Happy family, happy life for sure. I know my business partner Ryan too. He's got a great girlfriend, so having a huge support system at home, it definitely makes things possible. I'm sure you can vouch on that one.
Yeah, man. I got a little girl coming, so that's exciting news. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you and contact you, whether it's for electrical services or whether they just want to get to know you? Where can they find you at?
You can find me at 412-722-6961. My phone number is always available. Call, text. If you look on Facebook, I'm pretty sure I should be easy to find with the electrical company, or just my name, Jacob Campbell. So our company, again, we try to get it out on Google. So the number there is my cell will ring when that number's called. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. If you ever want to talk to me, educate about electrical, get to know me, whatever.
That's awesome. So I always do a rapid fire speed round to kind of wrap up the show. I'm trying to think. I think I did it last episode with somebody. Sometimes I forget. That's my ADD that goes off. But anyway, so pretend that you're on an island by yourself. Okay. What book would you take with you? Like if you were going to go forever, right? Like let's just say you're gone. You had to take one book with you. That's all you could take. What book would you take?
The Bible.
There you go. I tell you what, man. This is
it would be hard for me to read, but my grandmother's read the Bible multiple times. She instilled that spirit in me. So if I was going to be stuck on an island, I have to say the Bible.
That is so awesome. I've been hearing so many people have that answer, and that's my answer too. I mean, like because it's a living document, right? Like you're always going to get something new out of it every time you read it. So that's awesome. I really appreciate that. All right, so. You probably like food, right? You mentioned pizza. What restaurant would you put on that island? Any restaurant you want, brother. You get to pick it, but it's only one. So which one are you going to be able to go to every day?
Every single day. That is a tough one. I'd probably have to go with some sort of taco restaurant. I just ate tacos yesterday. I absolutely love Mexican.
What's your favorite Mexican restaurant?
Ooh, I just ate California tacos yesterday. They were fantastic. I can't think of the name, but there's a little food place. I think it's called El Poblante.
All right.
Downtown. It's a little tiny.
Do you like Condados?
What is it?
Have you ever been to Condados?
I don't think I have.
Oh, you got to go to Condados. So there's one in Lawrenceville. There's one downtown, like on Penn Avenue, I think, or somewhere like down there on like 10th and Penn, or I think it's on the street over. I can't remember. But then there's one at South Hills Village as well. All right. So we did the book. We did food. We did the restaurant. What movie would you take with you?
Ooh, what movie?
Yeah. One movie, man. Make it a good one.
That's a tough one. Probably an Adam Sandler movie. I'm a pretty big Adam Sandler fan.
Which one, man? Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, it would probably Happy Gilmore.
There you go. Brings you back to your.
That one, that's probably the movie I've watched the most. I'm a big movie guy, so to name a favorite one, that's kind of hard. I'm not big on TV shows.
Maybe Waterboy?
Waterboy's up there. I'm a big football guy, so.
Well, he was also in the other. He was also in the other football. Adam Sandler was in that prison football movie too. Yeah, but that's cool.
I
All right.
remember the Titan too. I've probably seen that about 1.5 million times.
All right. Let's see. Movie, book. All right. You're allowed to take one vacation. You can go anywhere in the world you want to go. Where do you want to go for a week?
For a whole week?
Yep.
I'd go visit Scotland again. I got to visit Scotland when I was younger, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful scenery. My family's from Scotland, Ireland, some German too. So to be able to go see my heritage was probably one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to experience.
That's awesome. All right, last question. You get 24 hours. You can spend it with one person, past, present, future, famous or not famous. Who are you going to take that 24 hours with?
Ooh. 24 hours.
You can pick their brain all day.
That's a tough one. I'd probably name my grandfather first, just to think of, honestly.
All right. Why your grandfather? Tell me about your grandfather. What makes you want to have him on that island with you for 24 hours?
Just taught me a lot. Really taught me a lot as a kid. Put some work ethic in me. I know he's just really been there for me when I was younger.
Is he still alive?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, man, that would be cool, right? Yeah, that's why I like to ask that question, because it gets people to really think about their roots, their heritage, and kind of like what they would ask them. So that's good. And just remember that the people that are here, ask them questions, right? Get to know them, build relationships. Relationships are the currency of life, and your income is your income is equal to your network, I feel like. And the more you can learn from other people, the more you can grow, right? Your net worth, I think they say your net worth is your network, you know? So Jacob Campbell, man, I'm really proud of you for reaching out and just jumping on this guy's podcast. And I look forward to learning more about you. And if there's anything I can do to help you, or if I ever need help, I'm definitely going to call you to give you a shot at some electrical stuff. My electrical guy I was using a guy that he got bought by a big company, so now he works for a big company. You don't even know in his business anymore. Like he works for a bigger company, but so I don't have any independent guys anymore. So you could be my guy.
Yeah, we'd love it, and I really appreciate you having me on. It's been awesome. I was watching some previous podcasts you had, and I was chatting you up all day. I was really excited to be on here, so I really appreciate it.
Who was your favorite one so far?
I follow Josh Burns, introduced me to Dan Costantino, and I've been following him like heck, studying realty, trying to figure out, what's my best financial move moving forward. So watching his podcast was really interesting, and I like following him. He's a smart guy. I've heard great things. Another podcaster you had on here actually mentioned him too. The guy who was in the restaurant industry and he's in realty. I can't remember his name though. I'm not the best with names, but
Alex.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. Alex from Pittsburgh Property Remodelers. Yep.
I'd love to meet him too. I loved his story, and
him and Dan are really good friends and business partners on a lot of activities. So we're all kind of.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yep. And then Brian Bursick with Hemlock Homes. He's a home builder. He was on one of my, I think, episode 6 or something like that. Should reach out to him too. I'm not sure if he's got an electrician, but he's always building houses, and he's always doing remodels.
Currently, because I have reached out to him. I've actually been at one of his properties out in South Fayette. They had some ceiling fans. We were, I think, changing some batteries or something out.
There you go. See?
But yeah, he does beautiful work. We've seen some nice homes that he's building. Yeah, definitely. If you need a contractor or electrician, let me know.
All right, everyone. Well, listen, this has been a great episode of the Big Fish Cares podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to the Big Fish Cares podcast.